Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to the first edition and the last episode. It's already the last episode of That's What They Said. Today we are going to have a very special guest by the name of Romeeta Sukhtankar, who's going to join. A lot of people also who've already on this chat know Romeeta. So sorry, just waiting to also pin my tweet. There we go. Yes. Today we're going to have Romeeta Sukhtankar, who's going to be joining our live chat. It is her live chat. It's also my last. It's the last episode of my first edition of That's What They Said, and I am very excited. And we already have Romeeta who has sent in a request, and she's going to a moment. Hello, Arjun sir. Namaste. Thank you for joining in. Welcome to everyone who has already joined. I think the next 40 minutes will be the last episode from Romeeta Sukhtankar is here. Hi, Romeeta.
Hi.
Very quick audio check, video check. Are you able to see and hear?
Yes, I am. I don't know
Okay.
about others.
And yes, I think everyone will as well. I'm going to quickly begin and start giving a brief of Ramadan. Firstly, Ramadan has taken an early morning shower after 3 months. I don't think I was going to say that, but here I have already. Well, Ramadan and I go back in 2008 when I joined Excel. It's something that I have looked up to for the best part of my college life and later as well. She's had a fantastic from from Andheri to Chicago, if I can call it that. From Andheri to Chicago, and today we're going to talk a lot about Amita. Uh, she's a go-getter. She's very focused. And she's somebody that all of us will really enjoy listening to as well. Amita, welcome to That's What I Said. How did it be? How did it feel being on the first and second side?
It feels great. It took me a minute to figure out how to join, but I learned something new, so that's great, and I'm really happy to catch up with you.
Fantastic. And there are a lot of people who are also going to be, who are currently watching thoughts that you would, remember because they're the best part of, they've been in the best part of your life. My voice is clear, but I'm going to try and louder. I don't know how to solve this disturbance. It's been there across the last two lives as well, but I'm going to try my best with that. Anyway, let's move on, Rom. Let's move to understanding your journey so far. Why don't you tell us, Rom, where you started off? I don't know how I can solve. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out how I can solve
Maybe
my.
try earphones or something. I could try that too.
I don't think your phone will work, but I'm just going to wait to be honest. Okay, there is a lot of problems. My phone and this. Sorry, guys. There we go. I think this is fantastic.
Yeah,
All
much
well?
better.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Great. Superb. So, Amita, I have a list of questions that I had already prepared, and we have taken care of that right now. Hopefully, I think now the sound is well. Thanks so much for everyone who's joined so far. I hope the sound is great. Okay, great. Let's move on. So, Ramita, can you please take us through your journey about when you started off, what did you do, how did you land up where you are today? Um, you know, let's hear from the
Yeah.
horse's mouth.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a really long 8-year journey. Like you said, from Andheri to Chicago to San Diego and now to San Francisco Bay Area. I've lived in 3 cities, countless apartments, 3 different jobs. It's been, got married along the way, bought a house along the way. So there has been a lot that happened in a span of 8 years, honestly, a lot more than I had planned for going into my master's degree. So it's been a fun, somewhat unplanned, but really exciting journey. And anything about that I can help share today to, help others, I'm happy to talk through that.
Fantastic. Let's go back to where it all started. Let's go back to not school, but let's go back to college. I think you did a BCom degree, and you joined the Rotaract Club, which all of us, where we met, where about 90% of our viewers today are also from. Let's say 80% of
Yeah.
our viewers are also from. What has been your best take back value from your college life?
Yeah, I knew you were going to ask that question, and I was trying to shortlist in my mind because there has been so much, I mean, you know this probably better than anyone else. But I think if there is one thing that I can think of that has actually helped me in my career and in my life is that I think RCHR really improved or taught us work ethic. And what I mean by that is doing more with less, less time, less resources, and really pushing yourself beyond certain limits. I find that that kind of an attitude is now ingrained in me after those 5 years, and that's just how I lead my life today and in my career. And I oftentimes get comments from my coworkers about how are you doing so much, and in my mind, I'm like, oh, but that's just how it is, So I think that has been one thing that was great for me, at least.
Fantastic. How is life going on as of today? Let's get the COVID aspect out of it. But how's your what is life today in the recent times in the US, in your new job, in your new city? How's it taking place?
It's great. It's a lot of fun. It's a very balanced life, if you will. And it took a while to get to this point, because in the initial years of your career, you're obviously struggling, figuring out your visa, etc. But I think over the last couple of years, living here in the Bay Area, I had a steady job, fun life, try to work really hard on the weekdays and try to rest and catch up really hard on the weekends. That's just been my routine, and I think it's going pretty great so far.
Well, you've also had to move from India, from the comfort of home. I know your dad's on this live as well. You had your brother here, you had family here, to then suddenly moving there. How is life firstly different from what it is in India to what it is for a married couple living in the US today?
Yeah. About living away from family, I will not lie, it's extremely difficult. And if anything, it only gets more and more difficult over the years as you grow older and older and, transition into this settled life where you probably need different kind of support than what your friends can provide. So yeah, I think it's difficult, but it's a price that you have to pay,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And life for a married couple, I obviously can't speak for every city and every country, but where I live, it's pretty great. There is a lot of other couples like us, both from India and from other parts of the world that we hang out with. And interact with, and I think it's just been an ongoing fun and learning thing for me.
No, I think that's fantastic. Romita, a lot of people now have also joined in. Can you take us through now what you exactly do? What does your job entail, as of today?
Yeah. So right now I am working at Amazon on Amazon Music. I lead all things app growth marketing. So to put it simply, my goal is to acquire new customers for Amazon Music globally. My kind of markets of focus is India and Europe, but I really oversee it more globally.
Okay, all right. That. How did you reach all the such an interesting role, such a highly responsible role? Because for customer acquisition is not the easiest thing to do, especially for apps, because there are so many apps also coming in. So how did you get through this? Because in India, I don't know too many people who do have Amazon Music. I'm still on Spotify or on JioSaavn or on Apple Music for that matter.
Yeah, it's definitely not the market leader in India because there is a lot of people who entered the market way before Amazon Music. But globally, it is in the top three and it's been growing way faster than Apple Music, still second to Spotify. Um, how I got here in this role, I think each role that I had kind of led up to this. And when you're starting out your career, you really don't know what you like. Much like a lot of other people, I'm sure, who want to do marketing, I thought of, being a brand marketer or being some sort of like a management type role, something that sounds cool but you really don't know what they actually do. And over time, as I started to be in these companies and learn what your job actually entails, I found that being in a growth and acquisition type role is the most exciting for me, and it's where I can add the most value. And so one thing led to another, and I think the current role that I have, it really is an ideal job for me at this stage in my life. I get to learn a lot, and I really am able to make a decent impact on the business. So that's exciting.
I think that's super. For all the people who are just joining in, I'm in conversation with Romeeta Sukhtankar. Please put in your questions either in the comment section or in the chat. A lot of people also saying hi, so I think you can take this opportunity to also get
Yeah.
back and talk to everybody who's also been here. All right, Romeeta, my mom's here as well. Hi, mom. Anyway, what is your advice to young people who are just finishing college and maybe wanting to take the leap, are not sure if they should go study, not sure if they want to live away from home? What is the advice that you would give them?
Yeah, I actually get that question a lot, obviously, before COVID. And I always say one thing, and I maintain that, which is be extremely clear what your 2 year goals are after you graduate. For example, if you are coming or going to a different country just for the experience of it, or whether you want to really work right after it in that country, or whether you want to gain experience that you can bring back to your family business or back to India in any form. In each of these three scenarios, the course that you pick, the city that you pick, the how you spent your time when you're here really differs. For example, for me, I was very clear I had to work here right after I graduate, and so I kind of geared all of my actions towards that. But a lot of people are not clear what they want to do right after, and then they're stuck not getting what they actually want because they didn't think ahead enough. So that would be the only thing that I would say.
Sure. Ramita, I do remember I had come to drop you off amongst a lot of people that had come to the airport when you were flying out to start your education. What is one advice that you wish you had received before you had actually boarded that flight, which would have made your life little better?
Yeah, there are so many. If I have to just sum it all up, maybe
Yeah.
it would be that, I had this idea that everything's going to be so fun and exciting, and you have this pretty picture in your mind about a different country, but really you have more bad days than you have good days. That's
Hmm.
just the reality when you're living away from your home country. You're living away from the comfort of your, parents and your family. I wish I was going into it a little bit more eyes wide open. And that's basically the advice that I would give to anybody. But it's definitely an enriching and self-fulfilling journey, whatever buzzword you want to use. It's definitely worth it, but it's not easy.
Sure. Ramita, you did mention in some of your blogs that I did happen to read when I was prepping for this that you're an introvert, you're an INTJ. I would never, in fact, if I take a survey of people back in college, I don't think anyone would have, portrayed you being an introvert, especially with everything that we have, seen you do over the 5 years, in college. When did you realize this? Were you always that, because that was the most surprising thing that I read. Introvert, not shy, is what you titled that blog.
Yeah. I think I was always like that. I just didn't know it, or I never took the time back in college to introspect because that's just what you do when you're locked down. You don't really think about that otherwise. I had always been that way, but I think the point that I was trying to drive in that article is that being an introvert and being shy are very different things.
Yeah.
The reason you wouldn't guess me as an introvert is because maybe inherently our bias is that a shy person is an introvert, but that's actually not true because I'm not shy at all, as you know, but it's more that taking the time to refuel yourself after you come back home from a long day, whether it's in college or at work, and really the way you think and the way you structure your thoughts. I think that's what I believe makes me an introvert, but I think it's a very misunderstood concept.
Absolutely. Ramita, let's going back to your journey as to how you started off back in the States, and you've grown through the corporate ladder. Take us through some of the, experiences that you might have faced, and how you advanced in your corporate career, being a woman and being, like an immigrant trying to find a job, trying to fit in. There was another part of your article in your blog where you said that, I don't know if I fit the bill well. I have to dress like the Americans, I have to eat like the Americans, but, how did you fit into the American culture?
Yeah, so I'll answer that in two parts. First, about being a woman. I think, or actually, first for both, being an immigrant and being a woman, the first and foremost thing is never think of yourself as lesser than anybody else, because if anything, your experiences make you better. As a woman, I know there is a lot of statistics out there about how women get paid 70 cents on the dollar or 30% less than men for these corporate jobs. Don't be that statistic. Do not, like, that's your goal. If you are in the corporate world, you have to make sure that you are not a part of that and really know your worth and then be humble about it, ask for it, and never accept anything less than that. The other thing would be, and this is something that I've only recently learned as I've grown in my career, is that the things that you say no to are equally or more important than the things that you say yes to. And so throughout the door, the attitude that you have to go say yes to everything, because your thought process and decision making abilities are more clear when you are able to say no. As an immigrant, and that's kind of what I wrote in my article too, I came into this the idea that I am different from everyone else, so I need to blend in.
Hmm.
Nobody else looks like me. I need to blend in. I'm eating my Indian smelly food. I need to blend in. I have thrown out all of that because that was a bunch of BS. What really is important is that you own who you are, and if you're bringing a lot more value to the table than you realize. And I think companies today, communities today are more I wouldn't even say they're more open to it. More than anything, they're excited to have you be a part of it. So the more that you can own your unique self, the culture, the values, the unique thinking pattern that you bring, the better it is. So I say own it, don't try to blend in.
Sure. Also, I do remember back in college you were pursuing another degree, and then you moved on to digital marketing. I think somebody in the comments, I think Mohitosh, was how did you, who I believe worked with you in your first company, first or second company.
Yeah.
How did you get into digital marketing? Why did you pick that particular thing?
Yeah, it was not planned. My plan all along in college was to become a chartered accountant for lack of a better option. I pushed that out for 5 years because of road track. That was probably the best decision that I made, because it got me where I was, where I am today. Otherwise, I would have probably been a chartered accountant, which is also a great profession, but it was not for me. Um, I just happened to get into digital marketing. I just thought that the natural thing to do after doing a BCom, other than being in finance or accounting, would be to do marketing. And I took up that job without a lot of thought, that first job in India, and I loved what I did. So, in fact, what I do today is very similar to what I did in the first year of my career, which is interesting because that's not what I did in all the remaining 8 years. Obviously, at a much bigger scale, but I really enjoyed that. And so I decided to make a career of it.
Sure. Quite a few questions are coming in about being a woman, being an immigrant. Anjali also, you've known her since back in 2011. If you can take her question, being an immigrant, did you ever feel compromised in the situation of not being able to negotiate because of the support that the company was providing to you for about your visa?
Yeah, good question. I think it's a great question. I almost every single time thought that I shouldn't negotiate because they are sponsoring my visa, so they're already doing a lot for me. But don't fall for that. They are talking to you in the first place because they want you, right? They
Hmm.
may make it sound like they're going out of their way to do their visa, but that's the price they have to pay if they want you to be a part of their team. So don't pull back from negotiating or asking for what you think you deserve just because they are sponsoring your visa. If they don't do it, somebody else will. And I'm not here to say, like, I have had really great job offers taken away from me because of visa related issues, which is a part of the hardships that I was talking about. But somebody else came in with a better offer, and more willing to pay you more. So it feels like that, but don't fall for it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Right now you've been working from home, right?
Yes.
Do you think that this can be a long term? Do you think work from home is sustainable in the long run as well for a role like yours?
I'm able to do my job just fine, but I think it's not sustainable in the long term because I really value some amount of face-to-face interaction and building that relationship. That's very important in my career, and I think in most jobs, I would like. I think what would be great is to do like half the days of the week you work from home and the remaining half you can go some sort of a balanced approach like that, because I also find myself being a lot less exhausted now that I don't have to commute or take the train into work. So I think there are pros and cons, but I feel like a balanced approach would be ideal.
Sure. Shashank had also asked about what's going to happen in the post-COVID era. Let's talk about like a product marketer's role, project management, product marketing role. How do you see things change? Do you think customers are going to like something else? Do you think brand needs to start talking about a different story now? What do you think are the customer insights that you, as a seasoned marketer, would be able to share?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's a lot to think about. And unfortunately, we're all figuring it out as we go. The one thing that's clear is that we do have to approach things differently now, and it obviously depends the company or industry that you are in. If you are in an industry such as hospitality or travel that was way more impacted than anyone else, then I think you really have to show your customers how much precautions you're taking and showing that you're putting them before anything else, before your own profits. But on the flip side, if you're an industry like mine, which is entertainment and music, if anything, people are consuming these things a lot more
More.
than
Yeah.
before. So in this case, it's more about making sure that you meet the demand, but are still showing the empathy that is needed for your customers. Because even if they are not directly impacted, everyone is indirectly impacted by this nightmare that we are in. So I think marketers will play a very critical role in communicating that brand voice to the customers.
Sure. We've been home just like you for the last couple of months. How are you upskilling yourself during these times of except trying different wines and trying different beers? Sorry. Our last conversation was about you having a mini brewery at home, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, something like that. I'm not drinking much, but I'm also not trying to make this a time where I try to, improve my skills. I'm really trying to take this time to do things that I wanted to for fun, for relaxation that I never found the time to. So I'm like working out more, reading more, catching up with more people over, video calls than I ever did, including people who live around me. So I think I'm just focusing on like my physical and mental health as well as my relationships. I'm not trying to learn anything new.
Have you started cooking?
Yeah, we have always been cooking because we don't have any house help. So cooking has been the same that it was before. No change there.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. If you have any more questions, please do feel free to put these questions down. Yes, Shipra, I did ask your questions, and I have asked the other questions as well. Romeeta, what is the one thing that you miss about being in India?
Family.
Family?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's it. That's the main thing. And food. Those are pretty important. That's what I do, when I'm back, spend time with family and eat really, really good food. I think Mumbai has some of the best food in the world. Nothing can beat that. So, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to
And
move to
Shipra.
and
Shipra
Shipra.
says, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just going to get into some rapid fire questions that I would have already planned for you. So let's get into some rapid fire. We've spoken a lot about jobs and we've spoken about the industry. Let's look at little more on the personal front, Ramita. So let's try and be as rapid as possible because that's the aim of the game. If you had to write a book about yourself, what would you name it?
The wildflower?
The what flower?
Wildflower?
The wildflower. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. What is the one thing that you find true that the other people don't agree with?
I think it would be the same that introverts are not shy. That is a truth that people don't understand, and I really want to propagate for that.
All right. When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I think I wanted to be a pilot, but I didn't really do anything about it. So I guess I didn't want it enough. I don't know, but that's something that I remember that I wanted to be. It was too exhausting, I guess. I don't know.
All right. What has been your most satisfying moment in your professional career so far?
Oh, um, I don't know if it is in my professional career, but it's more that finally getting my visa to live here. It took a long time and a lot of back and forth. And when I finally got it, it felt like everything was finally falling into place. So I would pick that, I think.
All right. Okay. What is the one brand that defines you?
Brand? Oh, I'm not I'm not really into brands. I always just kind of convenience and quality is more than the brand for me. So I don't think I can pick one.
Well, I would have said Amazon Music if I were you.
Yeah, I
Ju-
mean
Just for a
that
little bit of subtlety. All right.
self-promotion.
Yeah. Who has been your biggest inspiration?
Um, I mean, obviously my parents, but if you're asking for something other than that, I read a book and then I follow her since then. Sheryl Sandberg, she is the CEO of Facebook, and she's
Yeah.
written several books that have been a great learning experience for me. So yeah, I think it would be her.
All right. One food item that you miss from Mumbai.
Pani Puri.
Pani puri. All right.
And
Uh,
Rumali roti. For some reason, there's no Rumali
oh,
roti here. So
I
it's
know.
sad.
I can get that. Being in
Yeah.
lockdown, we miss it too because we can't really cook it at home. Anyway, what is the first emotion or thing that comes to your mind when I say the following? Let's look at the first emotion or the first thing that comes to your mind. The first thing that comes to your mind when I say lockdown.
Patience,
All right. Amazon.
innovation,
All right. RCHR.
friends,
Married life.
fun,
Okay. And finally, Sharang Dhaimade.
the best.
You had to. You had to. I'm going to
Of
take some
course.
more questions that are here before I let you go. Romeeta, is there a better place than San Francisco in terms of innovation and technology?
Not that I know of. I would be happy to move there if you can think of something else because this place is very expensive. But no, I think this really is the hub for it.
All right. How do you manage to work from home? What challenges are you facing, sitting at home and working? What do you miss about going to work, if at all you
I,
do?
yeah, I think I really missed some face-to-face interaction and the hallway conversations that cannot be replicated on a Zoom call. The catch-up sessions and things like that. That's all that I miss. But work-wise, I think it's fine. My job can be perfectly done from home, so I'm not really missing anything.
Sure. Shipra had asked earlier, how do you manage balancing work life with your family, with your marriage life that you have?
Yeah, I don't really feel the need to balance it. It kind of has balanced itself. My husband and I, like, we are equal partners at home and in our professional life. So there has not been a need where there is a need to balance anything or make any choices. It's been pretty smooth sailing for me.
All right. And Chirag wants to know what's next in life.
That's a great question. I think I'm turning 30 next month, and so far everything has been kind of like goal driven, right? Like you graduate college, you get a job, you get your master's, you get another job, you get married, you buy a house. Like it's been goal driven, and I think that at, I'm at that point where I kind of want to change my approach and really keep myself and my mind open to anything that comes up. So I really haven't planned anything for the next 5 years.
Okay. Okay. I think, yeah, I don't want to get into more questions to do with babies. So sorry, Shipra, maybe you can take that offline. But yes, I think we've spent the best part of 30 minutes, Romita. It has been your first live, I believe, first of many to come, because a lot of people that have been inspired by you, maybe in this 30 minutes, and maybe more people that will be watching this particular video in the coming days, coming weeks as well. Thank you so much for doing this. This was one of my favorite live experiences so far. Not only because you spoke about all the things, but I think it's been a great catch up for us
Yeah.
as well, and for a lot of people who've also. I'm sure you're going to, your WhatsApp will be flooded with messages. So I think your Sunday afternoon will be in catching up with everybody who would have seen this as well. So thanks once again for doing this. And I wish you more strength, more power, more more milestones that you will need to be achieved throughout your year. And thanks so much for doing this once again.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. This was super fun.
Super. All right
Yeah.
then. Take care. Have a wonderful Sunday. You have been an inspiration to many and many more to also come. So thanks so much,
Thank
and
you.
and have a great Sunday.
Bye. You too.
Bye bye. Well, that was Romita, and that was actually the end of my first edition of That's What They Said. Yes, I have finished one edition. I have had live chats with 10 people so far. I am planning for edition two also that's coming about. So hold your horses. We'll be having something cool that's coming up. If you have more suggestions, please feel free to also send in. Hopefully, I should start edition two next week, next weekend itself. So I'm going to take this week to actually plan on what has been happening. I hope you guys have learned something, enjoyed a little bit about this. Yes, Raj, I'll be talking about edition two in the coming week. Thanks so much for all your support, all the people that keep joining in, keep commenting, keep asking questions. More feedback is guaranteed. Thanks so much once again. I will see you. Before I go, I want to give a big shout out to Ronak Gidwani. I cannot thank him enough. Ronak Gidwani has been a true support. He has made all the creatives giving great feedback, and he's sat alone and he's done all this just for me. Absolutely, just because I have asked him to. So this is a big shout out to Ronak. Please go see his work. If you guys need to make videos, I think he's the best person that will make videos or some creatives for you. So this is a big shout out for him. So yeah, thanks so much. And I wish you, the good rest of the Sunday as well, and an awesome week coming up ahead. And we'll catch up sometime soon once again for edition two of That's What They Said. Thanks, guys. Bye bye.